So welcome everyone. I'm Alison from the Southern Cross Postgraduate Association. I'd like to begin by acknowledging and pay respect to the ancestors, elders and descendants on the lands upon which we meet today, the Widjal people of the Bunjalung Nation, because I'm zooming in from Lismore, and are mindful these lands always were and always will be Aboriginal land. So we are recording this workshop today and I'll post it to our YouTube channel. I also will encourage you to become a member of the Postgraduate Association, and I'll post the link in the chat box. So I'll hand it over to Dr. Katie Hotko now. So thanks, Katie.
You're welcome. Thanks, Alison. Hello, everyone. We've got a lovely group here today, and we've got plenty of time to have a real practice at what we are going to be learning about today. I am pitching today at a real beginner's level, so hopefully no one should feel stressed about their knowledge. I'm assuming that we know not a lot and we haven't had a go at this before, so we're all going to have a chance to have a bit of a play. So we're all here today to learn about how to record within PowerPoint. It's a bit of I was having a play this morning. It's a bit of an interesting thing trying to teach you how to record while we're recording in Zoom. It's a little bit of a meta moment, so bear with me as I try to share screens and do all sorts of teaching. Sorry, what was that, Natasha?
Oh, sorry, I was just talking to my son.
Oh, no problem. I might just pop you on mute, but feel free to unmute whenever you need to chat. So how we're going to work today is in a really collegial and collaborative way. I really love it when you turn your cameras on. You don't have to, but if you would like to, please feel free to turn your cameras on. If you want to ask me any questions, you can pop your hand up if I'm too busy rabbiting on, or you can interrupt me and unmute your mics and say, hey, Katie, how does this work? So hopefully we can have a really fun time learning together here today. Hopefully you can see it on my screen that you can see today we are covering. Is that right? You can see the beautiful things, Alison. Right. So there's a couple of things that we're going to cover. We're going to learn about how to screen record in PowerPoint. If you need to, say, demonstrate something in Excel or demonstrate something on a website, or there's a little function within PowerPoint to screen record. We're going to learn about how to record ourselves and the different ways in which that can be used, not just for a presentation, but also perhaps to rehearse if you have a presentation that you are needing to give in person, which is happening more and more since we've moved out of the COVID period. Perhaps we're presenting live. This can be a really great way to record yourself, and then you get to watch yourself and give yourself some really positive feedback and improve in your presentation skills. So we're going to learn about editing and troubleshooting and how to export all of this as a video, which is a very simple process, but we're going to have a go today. You are going to have a chance to practice. Hopefully you have access to PowerPoint and you perhaps can open it up on your computer. Just chill out now if you haven't done that already. We will get to that. So I will give you plenty of time to work together. And it looks like we've got a lovely group here. So hopefully we'll be able to learn from each other as well. I too want to acknowledge the country in which I'm coming to you from, which is the Yugambeh, the Kumbamberi people of the Yugambeh language group. I'm sharing a photo that I took of a beautiful artwork when I was down in Sydney last year. I want to pay respect to the elders past, present and emerging, and really recognise continuing connection to country. So as Alison said, it's beautiful and sunny down where she is today. It is a gorgeous, chilly day on the Gold Coast today. So feel free to pop in the chat which country you are zooming into us from today as well, because I do acknowledge that we're all coming from different places in this beautiful country. Okay, before we get started on... There we go. Things happen. Stuff happens without clicking. Before we get started, I want us to have a little think, and I'm hoping that you can help contribute to this conversation. Before we even start recording ourselves in PowerPoint, we have to think of a few different things. So the first thing that we need to think about if we are recording ourselves and we're recording our faces is we need to have a little think about the space in which we are. Today, I had to clean, I'll let you in. Actually, I wonder if I will actually let you in. Can you see? I cleaned my desk off of all of its normal rubbish, and I chucked it all on the floor so that there was a kind of a clearer space. You'll see behind me that I've turned my fuzziness off, which normally I would have, but unfortunately, PowerPoint doesn't have that beautiful fuzziness that Alison's got on her screen at the moment, which can hide a myriad of mess and complications that are behind you. But if you're recording yourself in PowerPoint, you actually don't, the version that I have doesn't have that beautiful background filter that you can put on. So it's really important that you think about the space in which you're in. Is there good lighting on your face? I've got my beautiful painting that's in the background here, but to be honest, maybe a clearer space is better so it's less distracting. I know that I had really bright colored clothing on before I sat down, and I thought, oh, that's going to be too much for everyone with my bright colors here and bright colors in the background. So I thought about what I was wearing today, what was in my background, and the lighting. Like I sat here, I don't know if you can see it, if that makes a difference. I sat here this morning and I thought, oh, if I've got that open, there's too much light hitting my face here. So I've closed my blinds. So all of those things are one of the first things that we want to think about. Has anyone here today already done some recording online? I'd love to find out what our experience is and where we're coming from. Feel free to speak out loud or in the chat. So we've had a couple of people in the chat are saying that no, they haven't done any recording before. No, beautiful. Okay, excellent. So we're all brand new, which is great. I've had a fair bit of experience recording. I do a lot of recording for my job. I work at the university in the Faculty of Education. It can be really confronting at first, but after a while you get used to it. So we will hopefully all have a recording done by the end of this workshop. Okay, so those first things here, we're thinking about our space. The next thing that we need to think about is audio. Just popping you guys on mute as you're popping in so that we can all hear, but please do feel free to interrupt if you want to speak up and talk to me today. Okay, so I don't actually have a microphone at the moment. A lot of people will usually when they're speaking about recording videos, say for YouTube, and if you're doing it a lot for your job, you probably want to get a microphone is what the suggestion often is, or wear headphones that have the little microphone in them so that your voice is clearer. I do have one. My husband's stolen it. He's taking it to work, so I'm not using one today. And to be honest, I don't actually use it all that often. How is my voice today? Is everyone hearing me okay? Most of us are doing these recordings for, say, an assignment in our master's degree, or perhaps we're doing a recording for a conference that we're speaking at that's online and we need to record it. I actually find that it's quite okay. With my laptop seems to have a good enough microphone in it that things work okay. But if you do start to record yourself and you listen back and you think, oh, it's not quite clear enough, one thing you might want to think about is getting maybe your headphones that have a mic in it, or you can actually get a microphone, like a mic that you plug in to your computer, and you can try and have a think about that. But to be honest, for the purposes that we do within sort of university assignments, as long as you use your big, I'm in education, I'll call it my teacher voice. If you use your big teacher voice, things should be okay without an actual microphone. I wouldn't want anyone to go out and buy something that they don't need for a presentation that they need to do for their assignment.
So Katie, sorry to just to clarify, you're using your computer mic, your inbuilt computer mic. Yeah.
So I'm just using the inbuilt computer mic. I admit I have a teacher voice. My kids in the next room are like, "Oh, Mum, you talk so loud when you teach." But when we're presenting, it's important that we project ourselves out. And when we're online, I think that's even more important, so that you can put a real presence. Sometimes you have to be a bit bigger than you normally would be talking to a friend in a coffee shop. You need to speak maybe slightly slower, a little bit more clearly, so that the people can hear you through the screen. So yes, I am just using the camera from my laptop and the microphone from my laptop. And I find that it works really well. I've done it for quite a lot of things. You do need to have a think about sound, though. We've talked about how our voice sounds. But if I was in a really loud, busy room, if I had my kids making noise, if I had the windows open and there was alarms and different things going off, I probably wouldn't have created a great presentation. So think about that too. We think about our space, but also think about the audio space that we're in. So perhaps it's important to find a quiet time, or put a movie on for the kids, or something like that, so that you've found a quiet space to make that recording. I know people who do their recordings in their wardrobe. They lock themselves in the wardrobe. They're away from things. They've got like a blank spot behind them, and they do their recordings that way. So maybe think creatively about where you're going to do your presentation so that you've got the best environment. Obviously here, we need to prepare our slides. So all of that work needs to be done before we sit down to do our presentation. And perhaps you want to think about whether you want slides the whole time. So I will show you as we go through and play with this, how in PowerPoint you can obviously record with your slides, but there could be a time where you want to record where it's just you. Now, if you've not done recording before, you might find that really threatening, but sometimes, depending on what you're doing and what your assignment requires, you might need to record with just you big on the screen. So that's another option. And then I've written down here script, but I will show you what I mean by the script. Some people like to record kind of off the cuff. I do. I don't like reading from a script. I find I get carried away anyway. Other people prefer to have everything written out word for word. And then one of the great things about presenting online is that you can have a little, it's almost like a teleprompter, your script up on the screen. I like to make sure it's right up here. I'm trying to show you here, right up on your screen near the camera, and you can be reading that. It doesn't necessarily look like you're reading it. So it's not like if you were in a classroom and they could see you reading from a script. Sometimes you can trick your audience to think that you're presenting this very complicated information, but you're actually reading it. So that is one of the great things about presenting online and about recording ourselves online, is that we can hide that script on our computer, and it looks like we're really clever and have memorized our presentation. Does anyone have any questions about all of this before we get started? Can't see anything in the chat. Please feel free to pop things in the chat if you do have questions. But seems like there's no questions so far. We'll move on.
Okay, if your PowerPoint does not...
Now, I have tried over and over. Obviously, I'm no expert when it comes to PowerPoint, but I've tried to make this not start as I click over, but for some reason it always starts automatically when I click. I'll have to figure that out later, but that just shows that we're all learning along this journey. What I've done here is I've actually screen recorded myself talking about how to find the record button tab in PowerPoint. Now, some of you may have opened your PowerPoint program up, and you may be looking along the top here, which I'll call this the ribbon. And there's all these tabs along the top here, and you might not see the recording tab. I might just put it over to everyone here. Have you got your PowerPoint program opened up? And I'm wondering whether you can see this recording tab up the top of your PowerPoint thing. So can anyone see a recording tab? Sometimes it's not there. Zoe can see it. That's fantastic. Yep. Carla can see it. Excellent. I just have included this little spot in here to show you that some people, when they open their PowerPoint up, they have a list like this and you can't actually see it. So I'm trying to get two birds with one stone, and I've recorded a screen capture here of me showing you how you can find that recording tab if it's not on your computer. So we're going to have a watch of it. Hopefully you can hear me talking, and I'll just press play here.
Okay, if your PowerPoint does not have the recording tab up the top here, let me show you really quickly how to find it. So what you want to do is bring your mouse up to the ribbon and right click, and you should be able to find customize the ribbon. Click on that, and then you just need to find the recording here and click OK. And that should create the recording tab here on the ribbon. You can click on that, and it brings together all the functionality within PowerPoint that you have to record within PowerPoint in one tab. So we have recording a slideshow, screen recording, audio, videoing, and even exporting the video, all in this one tab.
Awesome. So I don't know about anyone else. Okay, so Jean can't see it. That's great. Hopefully now, well, it's not great, but hopefully now you know how to go about and try to find that recording tab on there. So feel free to take a minute to sort of, it's tricky if you're all on one laptop and you're trying to watch this presentation and you're trying to go to PowerPoint. But one of the things you can do is you can click Alt-Tab to go to the next program, and hopefully you can find your PowerPoint program. And just to reiterate, the thing that you need to do to find that recording tab is that you need to, anywhere on the ribbon, you just right click and it should come up with the button that customize ribbon, and then open that and click on the recording there. So let me know how you go with that, if that works for you and that you've found your recording tab. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to get out of this slide show here so that I can actually show you how some of that works. This is the tricky bit that I am going to try and get there. This is the next three things that we're doing. So I'm going to actually stop sharing for a moment so that I can share properly with you. Okay, so just one moment. Please let me know how you're going. Has everyone found that recording tab?
No, I didn't get it.
You haven't found it? Have you had a try at right-clicking on the actual ribbon and giving it a go? Let me know how you go. I will. What I might do, would everyone feel comfortable if I demonstrated it? Or, oh no, excellent, we've found it. That's great. So I'm going to share my screen again, but I'm going to share, sorry, just one moment. I have to make sure I'm sharing the right spot with you. Here we go, sharing. I've got three screens in front of me here, so sometimes it takes me a little bit to find the right screen to share with you. So this, hopefully everyone can see the slides that I've been working with here. And up the top here is the recording tab that hopefully everyone can find. Please, if you haven't found it, pop it in the chat or let me know, and hopefully we can help troubleshoot some of that for you. But what we are going to do here is we've got a few different things here that I want to show you about how we can go about recording a screen recording. So does everyone know what I mean when I say screen recording, or is that a new concept? It's new. Okay. So sometimes I've chosen to do this first because it teaches us a little bit about how the videoing within PowerPoint can work, and I'm going to give you a chance to give it a try. Sometimes we might want to include a video within our PowerPoint slides. So you might be needing to, actually, could everyone who's here let me know in the chat, or you can speak out loud, what it is that you want to be able to do. Do you want to complete an assignment that you have coming up that's a 5-minute presentation? Do you have a conference coming up? Something like that. Let me know what it is that you are or are you just trying to upskill? Let me know what it is that you're trying to learn here. Just waiting, hopefully. Trying to upskilling. So there's no one's got a specific thing that they're wanting. Business and assignment, future assignments. What I'm going to do is assume that you have an assignment coming up, perhaps an assignment where you need to present on a particular topic. And within that topic, you might want to actually explain something. Perhaps you have, I'm trying to think of something for me. Perhaps you have an Excel spreadsheet that has a whole bunch of figures and statistics or different things in it that you want to share. Okay, so you might want to record yourself doing something within that spot to demonstrate your knowledge. So what I'm going to do, and I'm hoping this will work, is I'm going to open up Excel on my computer, and I'm going to use PowerPoint to, excuse me, I'm going to use PowerPoint to record myself doing something in Excel. Okay, so the way that I would do that is I've opened up, you can see on the screen here, I've opened up that recording tab that hopefully everyone has right now. And I am going to click on screen recording. Now, this is the tricky bit where I'm recording myself in a video and trying to do this. So hopefully this will work for you. I'm going to move my Excel. Can everyone see that as I bring it across there? I'm just hoping this will work. Just let me know if you can see I've just brought across an Excel spreadsheet. Yep. Okay. Thanks, Amy, so much. I was glad that that worked. So I've got this little Excel spreadsheet here. It's blank, but we'll just pretend that I've got some fancy things on it for you. So if you want to, you can click on this screen recording button, and it's going to ask me to select an area on my screen that I want to record. So I'm just going to click that there. And you can see that it's popped up, and this little menu pops up at the top. I'm going to click select area, and then it gives me this, it's hard to see, but it gives me this little cross here, and I'm actually going to, well, I might do it a little bit out so that you can see what I mean by recording everything there. I'm selecting this one little area. So that's the area that my computer is going to record, and it can hear my voice. So it's going to record my voice here, and I'm going to have a little go. I'm going to pretend to everyone that I'm recording something fancy in Excel here. So what I can do is I can hit record, and you can see by that drop down menu there that it says that I can actually use some shortcuts if I don't want to use my mouse, which is the Windows key, Shift and R to start recording. And if I want to stop the recording, I use the Windows key, Shift and Q. But I like using my mouse, so I'm not a shortcut person in that respect, but that option's there for you if you wanted to use the mouse. So I'm going to hit record now. Gives me a little countdown. Okay, so this spreadsheet demonstrates the amount of students who are studying online versus the amount of students that are studying on campus at Southern Cross. And this stuff happens, and you can see miraculously that this worked. Okay, so we've recorded that there. What I need to do is stop the recording. I've moved my mouse up the top here. I'm going to hit stop, but I could have used that shortcut. Okay, so everyone, I'm going to move that away now. Hopefully you've seen my little demonstration there. And on the screen here is a little recording, a little video of what I just recorded. So this is an example of how you can record a little short snippet of something to put within your PowerPoint slide. So here it is here. I'll press play and show you. Hopefully you can hear it. Okay, so this spreadsheet demonstrates the amount of students. We won't watch all of that again, but can you see how I've been able to share a screen and record a little section? Now you'll notice, I mean, it was a bit of gobbledygook that I shared with you, but at the end there was a bit of dead time that I was trying to figure out where the pause, the stop button was. So what you can do is you can actually trim this video. So if I'm clicking on this video here and you can see that it's selected, you'll notice that two little tabs come up the top, playback and video format. The first one I'll talk about is video format. That's where you can do a little bit to change the way the video looks. So you might decide to put a border around it. You might have noticed, now I did this on purpose, but you might have noticed that you recorded more than you actually wanted to of the screen. And what you can do is you can go along and you can crop that. So I can just sort of crop that there so that I get a much better, more professional looking view. I've put a border around it. The other thing, so you could do all sorts of things there. If you wanted to be fancy, if you were recording something, you could change the color of it, do all sorts of things. The other tab is the playback tab. Now this is where you get to trim your video, because often we make mistakes particularly at the beginning and the end. Our videos are, you may not be quite ready, or you might sort of peter off trying to figure out how to stop it. It looks more professional if we can trim it. So within PowerPoint here, we can just go trim video. It opens up this little box. We can go along to the bit. You can listen to it. Stop the recording. So I might decide that that's the best bit there. All I need to do is draw these little tabs in. So this is the red one at the end. I'll draw it to there. If I wanted to crop a little bit off the front, I could do that and then hit OK. And that has cropped my video there. Amy has said in the chat, if you want to get fancy, you can put it into a photo or an image. It takes a little bit of time, but it looks cool. Very true. There's all sorts of really cool stuff you can do, particularly with the screen recording and other types of recordings that we can do and pop in here. So the other thing that I wanted to show you that we can do here is that we can do that screen recording and it's embedded within our slideshow. But if you want to take this little 30-second video and save it as a video on its own, separate from the PowerPoint, what you can do is you can actually save that media. What I did then was I right-clicked and save the media as, and I can just save that wherever I want to. It will save it as an MP4 and you'll be able to use that video somewhere else if you wanted to. So I hope that that all makes sense. what I want to do is I want to pause for a little while so that everyone can have a little play with those skills. And once we've upskilled ourselves in that area, it will mean that when we do our recording ourselves in our presentation, we'll have a few of those skills ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is I want to put it over to you. Does anyone have any questions? Have my instructions about that not been clear enough? I can go through it again. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is give you, I'll be here, but I'll give you 5 minutes to go and have a little play. Make sure you're muted. Go and have a play, recording something to put in your PowerPoint slide, and then come back and we'll share how we went. So let me know, do you need me to show you again, or are you happy for me to, we might pause this recording, we'll go and have a play for 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and share our success.
Katie, just a
Yes.
quick one. The first step, nothing to do with the recording, but that Excel spreadsheet into your PowerPoint. I just can't remember exactly what you did at that point, whether you went into it or you dragged it in, sorry.
Okay, so I had to drag the Excel spreadsheet over to show you, because I'm sharing one screen, I had to drag it over. You shouldn't need to do that because you're not sharing a screen with anyone. Are you working just on a laptop with one screen? Just
2 screens.
Two screens. So what should happen is, well, I'll show you just for now. So where you need to go is you need to open up that recording tab.
Yep.
And technically it gathers together all of the recording things. Another way you can find it, I think, is you can go to insert, and it's all the way along the far right here. But hopefully we've all got that recording tab.
Yep.
And we're going to click on screen recording. Once you click on that screen recording, I'll click on it now. What happens is all of your screens will go a slightly sort of opaque, not opaque, like a slightly white color. And then you'll be able to use this menu to select an area. And on Zoe, on both of your screens, that should happen. And then you can select wherever it is that you want to record. I'll just get out of that. And then once you've done that, you can just hit play on the recording or start, and then record whatever you want, and then press stop. Does that answer your question, Zoe?
I'll have a play with it.
And that's why I'm asking everyone to go and have a play, because you can't really know until you do. I always think it's important to have a go. So unless anyone needs another question, what I might do is I'll be here, but I'll pop my mic on mute so that I'm not talking. To distract everyone. It is 11:04 at the moment. We'll come back at 10 past and report back on how we went. Any other questions, feel free to ask me in the chat. I don't want to disturb you if you're still working. I may have just ruined your recording. Um, but please come on back. And I would love to hear how everyone went. And if there is a brave one among you, I would love if you were willing to share your screen even and show me what it is that you got done. Has everyone had enough time? Oh, Alison, we might start that recording again.
Yep, it is.
Oh, beautiful. How has everyone gone? Let me know. Did you get a chance to record something? Screen record something on your computer? I'll call on names soon. Oh, Zoe.
I didn't get to, and I don't know if it's a Mac thing. So I opened up an Excel spreadsheet, but it won't do what you're doing. But my workaround would be I have screenshot anyway as a tool. So I think I would take a screenshot, throw it in as just an image import, and then do a recording as the way you're probably going to show us soon. So I think it's
yes, we're about to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure that there's a way for that to happen. I wonder if there's a permissions or something that is turned off or something on your computer.
Possibly, because it does have screenshot in the PowerPoint, but it just takes a screenshot of something already in my PowerPoint.
Does it? So there is the screenshot. Am I still sharing my screen? I think I am here. There is the screenshot section here, but there's also the screen recording. So do you not have the screen recording button?
I've got record slideshow, screenshot, video, audio. I've got 4.
Okay, so you're missing that button altogether. Okay, yeah. I wonder if that's a Mac thing. And I did say that, and we've had this issue before, haven't we? I'm not a Mac girl. I don't know what the differences are. And sometimes there's a few little things that are quirky. And
I face the same problem. Actually, I'm on a Mac and I don't have that screen recording button either.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I think by the time you go on to the next stuff, Katie, it will resolve it for us. I think the Mac sometimes just does things differently, but same result.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And there are other ways that you can do that. Like if you really want to do this, there are other programs. We're dealing solely with PowerPoint. And I'm going to admit, I don't think it's necessarily the best way that you can do all of these things. As a Mac person, I bet you have iMovie. And that is a far simpler way to do this. And I would suggest that if you are, I wish I had a Mac to use iMovie. It is very easy to share your screen, record yourself, do all of these things that I'm talking about here. So perhaps this tiny section is not relevant. The next bit will be, though, I think.
I think so.
As well. Did anyone have any success in that last 5 minutes? Did anyone else have a go and make it work? Feel free to turn your mics on and speak. I'm just checking out the chat. Not sure. That's okay. Hopefully this next section will be more helpful for you. For those who are watching the recording, we tried to pause that, but we took a little while to do it. Hopefully you've been able to pause the recording and go and have a play and make it work. Sometimes this information can be really overwhelming to listen and do, but hopefully we get some success. Julie has said, oh no, the computer has decided to repair itself, had a play and didn't record anything. Okay, hopefully we will get some recording actually done this workshop, or at least directly after it. I think it's really important that we enact what we're learning so that it really gets into our head and we don't lose that knowledge. Sometimes it can be really scary to have a go, but all going well, we'll get some more recording done soon. Okay, so what I want to do is we're going to move on to the really important bit, which is where we record ourselves in the recording slideshow. So hopefully you can see all of this stuff here. Before we go into it, I want to point out Most of you should know this, but if you have not worked with PowerPoint a lot, you'll notice here down the left-hand side, I've got sort of all of my slides here. And you may have seen, and I can make this bigger and smaller, I have the notes section open just to remind me of all the things I want to share with you. But this is the section that you can write your script or some dot points of what it is that you want to be talking about on each slide. And that can really help you when we go in to do our recording bit. So you can see those there. And what we're going to be learning about is this button here. Hopefully everyone has this button here, which is the record slideshow button. Now, I had a little bit of a play around. I'm working with like 2019 version of Windows. For some reason, I can't get Microsoft 365, which I think that we as students at the university have access to. I'm not sure what version everyone's working with on their computers at the moment, but if you had access to 365, it actually has a very different interface. Personally, I think it's a better interface for what we're about to do. So what I'm going to show you might look different if you have a different version of software. So please let me know in the chat if you're like, this is nothing like what I'm doing. It'd be really nice to know what we're all working with here. But what I'm going to do is click this slideshow button. And what it actually does, because I have multiple screens, it actually has the slideshow on this one that I'm sharing, and it opens up on a different screen, the recording suite. So what I'm going to do to share with you what's happening is I'm going to click stop share, and I'm going to share the screen that actually has the record slideshow and share. So this is what, I have to move your over there. This is what, can everyone see this section here? You can see that it's having an issue with the fact that my video is sharing on another screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my camera off on Zoom so that it can recognize me within PowerPoint. Hi, Marilyn, welcome. I'm just going to pop you on mute. What we're doing is we're learning about recording the slide show within PowerPoint. So what I have is this slideshow section here. I'm going to turn off, oh, hold on one moment, stop my video. All right, I've stopped my video in Zoom so that it will work, because your camera can only work in one place at a time. When you click that record slideshow, which is this button here, you'll be brought to this screen here. And down the bottom here for me is my camera. Hopefully I'm back. You can see me down the bottom corner here, hopefully. And I have the ability here to turn my microphone on and off, and I have the ability to turn my camera on and off. Now, if you have a fancy laptop and you have another camera that you're using, you will get the option there to change. Just move all these things away so I can see you all properly. You will have multiple options come up when you click on here, and you'll be able to select them. Same here, if you have a microphone or you're working with headphones, you'll select the ones that you need to use. So what we can see here is this is the recording studio, in which I have started that right at the back, but I'm going to go back to the beginning of my slideshow that I've shared today. Okay, and I'm going to demonstrate with you how we go about recording within this section here. What's really great about recording in PowerPoint is that you record, well, essentially you hit record here, you speak, blah, 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 blah. You move to the next slide, you speak, blah, 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 blah. And what happens is it will record, it will put a little video recording on each slide. And if you make a mistake, you don't have to go right back to the beginning and re-record yourself. You can actually just fix the mistake within the slide that you made the mistake on. So it has really great features like that. If you stumble over your words and you're like, oh, I wrecked it, you don't have to re-record everything. So that's one of the things that I find really helpful about recording in PowerPoint. The other thing that I will say to you, as you can, because it demonstrates it really clearly here, is when you're designing your slides and you know that you're going to be presenting with a little video of yourself in the bottom corner here, you need to think about your slide design. I'm covering up sections here. See how I'm sort of covering up the words? And so I'd need to have thought about that and perhaps rearranged my slides so that there's room for me in that bottom corner. I think that you can, well, I know that you can choose to put yourself in a different place, but the bottom right corner is fairly traditionally the place that the recording is. But I'll show you how we can resize it and move it around once we get to that spot there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little demonstration of me having a go. I will show you a few of the different things that can happen, and we will go from there, and hopefully we can all have a little play with this. So I will go back to the beginning of my slideshow. What I'm going to do is everyone can see everything on my screen here, can't you? When I click on my notes, it comes up and you can see all of that. Just let me know in the chat or speak up if... Yep, beautiful. I just wanted to make sure that you knew what I was talking about. So, all right, I have opened up this notes section here. I've got no notes on that first page, but if I click across here, you can see the notes here. That's really tiny. My eyes are not what they once were. I can actually make the text larger if I like, but here it is. I've made it a little bit bigger so that I can see it. Okay, so I'll head back here and I'm going to just start. So I'm hitting record, and again, it comes up with that little countdown. Welcome everyone to my presentation. I'm going to speak about lots of different things, and I need to make sure that when I do, I leave a little gap as I change because the audio is attached to each slide. So I'm going to pause and I'm moving to the next slide. So making sure that I don't speak as I'm clicking across makes sure that things happen well. So I can see my slides up the top here, and I think about slide design, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm going to pause. Oh, because I was getting really stressed out and I've paused it. So you've got that option there. I wasn't really getting stressed out, but anyway, and then I can keep going, and then I can stop. So that brings me to, I've stopped there and I've frozen. You can't see me anymore. What I'm going to do is hit the replay. So within this recording kind of studio space, you can hit the replay, which will give you a preview of what you just did. So let's listen to my blathering again. So I can see my slides up the top here, and I think about slide design, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm going to keep going, Okay, so you can see there that that gave me the preview of the one that I, hold on a minute. I'm going back to the beginning. That just gave me the preview of the slide that I was on. So if I was to hit, I've gone back to the beginning now. Welcome everyone to my presentation. And it shows you the different, the recordings on each slide. So this is where you can, excuse me, this is where you can go in and you record yourself, and you can check each slide and make sure it's exactly as you want it to be with this replay button here. Okay. And then the, is that making sense to everyone? I will demonstrate it again for you, but what I want to do is I want to take you from here and show you how it looks in the actual, back in the other thing there, the other, sorry, out of the recording studio and back in PowerPoint as well. So the one thing I didn't show you, and what I might do is click along to, hold on, to where I haven't. Here I am here. Oh, you can see me again here. So this is no longer the recording. I'm in here. What I didn't show you, and I will do it with the record button, is that everything within this screen gets recorded, not your notes, obviously, they are hidden from the actual recording, but you can access any of this stuff down the bottom. So if you're speaking, and what I'll do is I'll hit record here so that you can see that. Record, 3, 2, 1. If you're speaking, this spreadsheet, hold on, I've paused that. This is the wrong one to demonstrate on. Here we go. All right, I'm recording here, and you can see that I'm recording because there's that little red dot in the bottom here. If I wanted to perhaps draw something, I'm going to use the pen. I can use the red pen. I could draw something to demonstrate. All of this will be part of the recording. You know, you could need to draw something for some reason. You might have some information that you really want to highlight, and you do that with the highlighter. There's all sorts of things. There's a laser pointer that you could use the entire time. I quite like using a laser pointer, you know, the recording slide and whatnot. So all of that will be part of the recording that you do. To demonstrate on, here we go. All right, I'm recording here, and you can see that I'm recording because there's that little red dot in the bottom here. If I wanted to perhaps draw something, I'm going to use the pen. I can use the red pen. I could draw. Okay, so you can see how all of that is part of the recording. So what I want to do now is I want to take you out of this recording studio and back into the normal software. So up the right-hand side, I'm going to just hit close. I don't want to hit on this one here. See this cross here? That will actually clear the recordings. I don't want to do that. And up the top here is where you can select the microphone and the camera that you're using. I only have one option, but if you perhaps had headphones on, there would be a couple of options there for you to select. So don't click this one because it's clearing the actual recordings. You want to click on this close button in the top right corner. So I have gone out there and I'm going to just share my screen again. I'll turn my camera back on so that you can see me. Hold on. And I will share my screen again, and hopefully you'll see what's happened here. Let me know in the chat, can you see my the software, just the PowerPoint software? I think that you can. So what you can see thanks so much. You've been wonderful and cooperative here. What you can see is that down the bottom right-hand corner is the audio and the video that is attached in there. So earlier we learned how to trim. And I wanted to let you know that even though I said before, you make sure what you've done on each slide is right, and you can re-record over yourself. And if you make any mistakes on each individual slide, one thing that you can do is you can crop a little bit. It's limited in its ability. You can't crop inside the video itself, but you can crop a bit at the beginning and the end, which we learnt to before. So as I click on this here, you'll notice that it opens up the playback and the video format there. When I'm not selected on it, it goes away. So I have to make sure I select it, the little recording on the slide that I want to trim. Click on playback, and I can open up this trim section here. So I can decide, oh, like this beginning bit's not what I want. I can trim that there, and perhaps the bit at the end is wrong and I can trim that off, and I just click OK. So that trims that section there. The other thing that I can do is I can change the size of it if I want, and I can change where it is located on the page if I say wanted to have it over here. The thing that you do need to remember when you do this is that I've moved it to the left here, but when it gets to this next section, it's back over here. So I need to make sure I do it to all of them if that's what I wanted to do. I'm going to just move it back though, so that it is where it is. I want to pause there. Hopefully, I don't want to overwhelm you with lots of information at once. Does anyone have any questions, or would you like to take some time now to go and have a practice with what it is that I've just shown you? I can show you again if it helps, but I think practicing at this point might be a good idea. What I might do is just show you how to get to that recording studio if you've forgotten, remembering that anything recording, we are going up to the top here and we're clicking on the recording tab up the top. What we're going to do is click on this record slideshow, and it should bring up that recording studio. And in that spot, you can have a play with, excuse me, recording on each slide, making sure you pause a little as you go to the next slide, recording again. You can re-record over certain parts. And you can use that annotation tool if you like. So I think did everyone feel that 5 minutes was enough before, or would you like to take a 10-minute recording time? I'll go by what people want. In the chat of how long, 10 minutes, please, says Zoe. I'm still going to be here. What I would suggest is if you're recording and someone speaks to me, it might wreck your recording. You might want to turn it down a little bit or something like that so that it doesn't wreck it. But what we'll do is we're at 11:30 right now. We're going to break for 10 minutes so that you can have a little play with what I've just shared with you. And then we'll come back and do some troubleshooting there. So I'm going to be watching the chat really carefully. If you have questions, please put them in the chat and I can answer back and forth on there. But let's take 10 minutes, have a practice. I would love for brave people to perhaps share what they have done, but you don't have to. There's no pressure. So I'm going to turn myself on mute, turn my video off, and I'm going to watch the chat. Alison, you might pause the recording so that those who are watching the recording can also pause and have a little play before they come back to us. Okay, so I am muting. I need a few more minutes. I'm happy to keep going, or we can have a few more minutes if you'd like.
I'd like a few more minutes if that suits everyone else.
How did we all go? I would love to hear from everyone. We've had a good time working. I'd love to hear from everyone in the chat or verbally what happened. Did you get it open? Did you get anything recorded? Julie is done, just can't get it to play outside of review. Do you mean outside of that in the recording studio section, Julie?
Yes. I've done the recording. I've listened to it. It's such shame when you listen to yourself, but anyway.
Oh. Everyone feels like that, I think. I think we all feel that way.
Yeah, so my screen is very different because I've got the Microsoft 365 and I've also got a touch screen, so that was tricky. But it recorded it fine and it worked well. I just can't, it's exporting it and I don't know where it's gone because it didn't go where I sent it.
And so you've jumped ahead to the export button, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
That's all right. That's totally fine. I'm going to show you, that was the next thing that we were going to do. And so now I am unfamiliar with the 365 version. Is the export button within that sort of that black software center?
It's in the top ribbon. So you've got edit with an arrow to the left and then you've got export with an arrow to the right, either side of the controls at the top.
I knew I'd run into this trouble if someone had a different interface. And I was trying to figure out how I could get the 365 so that I could be equipped to share with you. I'm sorry. Hopefully I can walk you through it. I've heard that it's a much better system in terms of the teleprompter. It's
great. Yeah.
Whereas ours is I'm not sure about anyone else. If you had my system, and the one that I showed you, it has that little notes bit up the back. You can make the text bigger, but I hear that your version, like teleprompter, like a real, and it brings it up as you need it. And you also have the ability to blur your background as well, I think, in the Microsoft 365. I would love that. I'm on a work computer and I can only have what they give me. But that's exciting. So I will step you through how I know how to export it, and perhaps afterwards we can have a little chat if we still can't find it. But I think what it would have done is just saved it as a video to perhaps your downloads, maybe, or something like that on your computer.
Yep.
How did everyone else go? Thanks for sharing that, Julie. And we will step through that. I'm really glad you got something done.
I did. Thank you.
Zoe.
Yes. I got it recording.
Beautiful.
I did it a million times because I didn't have any notes. Because I didn't have any notes, I couldn't find the teleprompter. And I just went into slideshow and played, and it comes up with it. So yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I haven't played with any editing, but that's fine. Yeah.
No, that's totally fine. And what I think what might make more sense is I will demonstrate now how to get that as a video and how to play it and all that sort of thing now. And it might make a little bit more sense, that next step. I just didn't want to overwhelm with too much knowledge all up front. How did everyone else go? Amy, Jean, Carla? I know Marilyn's just on her phone at the moment, so we'll do it a little later. Feel free to pop in. Oh, Carla.
Yeah, I had some trouble getting it to play back on my second slide. So the audio came through really well on the first slide, and then there was no audio on the second one, which is why I then sent you the message saying, do we need to stop it and restart it? So I'm not too sure. I'll have to probably play with it a bit more afterwards.
Yeah, no problem. That's fine. And this is the thing. I always find it's a bit of trial and error to figure it out. I know I had a PowerPoint, like a slideshow that I was doing once that had heaps of animations in it, and I was like, oh, it took me a while to figure out the timing of it. And there was a lot of Googling that I did and a lot of YouTube videos. I eventually figured it out. But sometimes we do need to play a little bit with it. Amy's all good, learning a few micro skills. Excellent. It sounds like, Amy, you've done this a bit before, perhaps. And it's exported to the desktop. Excellent. So what I might do is I might share my screen now and take you through those exporting ways that we can do it so that everyone's on the same page. I will just share my screen so that you can watch me do that. What I actually did while I was waiting, I'll drag this over because I don't want to export a really long video, because the longer the video, like the longer the slideshow that you have with all of the recordings, the longer I find that it takes to export it. So I've just done a really quick one here, so you can see that my video is down there, and I'm looking at that going, gosh, my lighting's really bad today. I reckon I would fix my lighting. It seems to have got really dark in here. I might put more lights on so that it's not quite so dark. But anyway, you can see that there. I could play each individual one.
I want to acknowledge the traditional owners.
Can you hear that? I'm not sure. I don't think I've shared my sound. Hold on, I'll just share the sound properly. Oh, there we go. It's shared. Remembering that we can crop, if we click up here to the playback section, we can trim our video and make it exactly as we want it. There. So like, let's say I might want to crop that. I might just want to leave it. I mean, sometimes when we're working for an assignment, I know I ask my students to create presentations for their assignments all the time. Pretty strict with my time limit. They've got 5 minutes. They've got a lot to fit in. Sometimes that trimming can really help, because if you've got 5 minutes, you don't want to have a whole lot of dead time where you're just sitting there not talking. So that can be a little trick to bring your time limit down if you're working in a really tight presentation time. So what we're going to do is there's a couple of ways this can be done. Again, I'm clicking on this recording section here. Once you're happy with it, and it's everything you want it to be, I think a few of us may have done this already. It is just as simple as clicking this export to video button. If you don't have that export to video button there, the other way that it can be done, and this is the way I've usually done it, is I've clicked on the file button, and then you can go to export and create a video there. So I just wanted to show you there are always so many different ways that we can find these things, but I'm going to click it from here so that you can see exactly how it works from within this recording tab. It brings us to the same spot. So here we are creating a video. What we want to do is make sure that we're using the recorded timings and narrations. This automatically comes up as full HD here. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, if you're doing a presentation for something really professional and you need something higher, maybe go the higher one there. But look, I'm going to export it as the standard size here, just so it's a bit faster for us today. But you can see that there's lots of different options there of what you want. I'm doing the smallest, and it should be faster. And it is literally as simple as clicking that button. And then I might save it in my downloads and I'll call it trial recording. You can see that it's already as the MP4 file there. And then, so you want to pop it wherever you want it to go and hit save. And it will look like nothing's happening, and that's okay, because down the bottom here you can see it's creating the video trial recording. That's the name I gave it. So it's just having a little think. It should not take too long for that to happen because it's only 2 slides long, and I will open that up for you once that is done. So it's really simple to export it. It's all done there. So what I'm going to do is this is coming up on another screen, but I'm just opening up. Sorry, one moment.
Should the file be exported as an MP4?
Yes, that was what it was
Okay,
imported.
okay.
That was
Okay.
exported as an MP4. Yes.
Oh, exported. Yeah, thanks.
I'm just opening the file up here, and then so that you can
I want to
see.
acknowledge the traditional owners. And
So this is my really quick, like 5-second recording that I did. I did not think about. So you can see it's opened up in Media Player here, and it should only go for a short period of time. I'll just press play.
Custodians of the land on which we work and study, the Kumameri peoples of the Yugambeh language group. Today we're going to be discussing all things recording on PowerPoint. Don't forget that you can use the highlighter to really highlight things as you're talking, and I hope you've learnt a lot.
Okay, so that was my little quick trial video. I actually really noticed that. I've made it quite large on my screen. I noticed that it was really grainy and whatnot. So if I was doing this perhaps for a conference or something like that, I might have chosen the higher resolution video there. But for our purposes today, I just wanted to show you that really quickly. So it is literally that simple. Sometimes if we have a more complicated slideshow and you have things like in this one here, if I was to do this one, you'd get to this page and then it'd go through. Sorry, I'll click across. You get to this page and it would actually play the video. I've had times where the video hasn't actually played in the recording, and I've had to go back and change some of the settings in terms of excuse me, in this animation pane and whatnot, that to make sure that the video has played. But most of the time it works. But it is important, particularly if we're doing an assignment or a presentation, other people are going to view it, that we do watch our video, which I know is hard, but we do watch our videos so that we can make sure all the bits and bobs have worked and the sound works the whole time and things like that. So what I want to do is I want to throw over to everyone else. Have you managed to get that to happen, or would you like to take a few seconds to, I'm just opening up the chat again so I can see you all. Would you like to take a few minutes to have a try? It is really that simple. A couple of clicks, we can export this as a video. How are we going? Zoe, very cool. And you know, it's not all, we don't even have to do it with our face on it. If you wanted to just record your audio and not have your face, although I'm a big fan of faces, I think we learn more when we see people's faces. But you know, if you don't have to and it's not something you want to do, you could just do an audio recording of yourself. There could be sections that you're playing a video within it. There's all sorts of things that we can do within our recording using the slideshow recording part of PowerPoint. All good here. Does anyone want to take a few minutes to have a go? We've still got about half an hour left. Because there's been less of us, we've got through this a lot quicker. I would like to brainstorm and troubleshoot any questions that you might have that you are having trouble with. But that is the end of the content that I wanted to give you, but I wanted to make sure that you had enough time to practice and ask any questions today. Zoe has said, you're thinking that it's a good way to update my supervisor in between meetings. Yeah, that's an interesting idea, Zoe. Do you mean just sort of sharing a little presentation of what you've been thinking and talking to them?
Yeah, just like often you're working on something and I can sit for almost an hour sometimes and pull together an email and have the attachments, and I'm thinking, I'm a visual person anyway. It'd be so much easier just to do 3 or 4 slides with what I'm looking at, and then I can just talk as though I'm normally talking with them, and they can look at it when it suits them.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, definitely. That's a great idea. And you don't even have to save it as an MP4 if you didn't want to. So I think I've still got my screen shared here with you all. What you can do is actually save it as a show, which is a different type of function as well. So I'm going to just click that button because sometimes sharing videos can be quite large. Say you're wanting to share that with your supervisors and you emailing it and whatnot, and can be quite tricky. You can just save it as a PowerPoint show. So I'm going to just save that to my downloads as well. Save, hopefully it'll only take a few seconds, and then I'll show you what that comes up as. It's a smaller file that they can open up. So what I'm going to do is get rid of that so that you can see it. Julie, I'm going to come to your question about the transcript in just a moment. Okay, so this is my files. You can see my millions of files here. I'm going to open it up by double clicking on that file.
Presentation, I'm going to speak about lots of different things, and I need to make sure, and I'm
just like that. So it is, that took 5 seconds. It didn't need to do all that buffering because it didn't turn it into a video. But the PowerPoint opens up just like this, the PowerPoint file.
Okay, if you're...
Sorry, it's still going through.
this...
I'll just get out of that. Hold on.
to demonstrate.
So sorry, you saved it as PowerPoint show?
It has these controls here that they can go within it, but it actually plays it. I'm just going to end that so that I can show you the file type so that it closes it down. It saves it as a Microsoft PowerPoint. What's the file type called? Slideshow. And it essentially will just play it, and it doesn't have all that background. You know, they can't edit it as such, but they can view it as a slideshow.
Okay.
So that's just two options for you with particularly what you're talking about. So if you didn't want to create a video file, like an MP4 file, you can, let me pull it back up so that you can see, just one moment. So that's that save as show. Now with the Mac, do you have that option?
Probably.
Perhaps that's different.
Yeah, I normally, historically, because it's so content heavy with images and things like that, I normally just put it in my Dropbox and send the link to the people. I just,
okay,
it's hard.
Yeah. So anyway, that I was just showing you that that's two different options. If you didn't need a video file and you didn't want to do it that way, you can save it as a show and it comes up in that very same way. However, it does give them, when it's saved as a show, they have the options, if they know how to, down the bottom. I don't know if you remember. I'll fiddle it around again. Hold on. Let me just open it up one more time.
Presentation.
It comes up straight like this.
I'm going to speak about.
Pause it.
And I'm moving to the next slide. So
see it. Hold on.
So I can see my slides up the top here, and I think about slide just
pausing the show, and it has these. I don't know if you can see that right down the bottom corner. It has this functionality that you can use as well. If they knew how to use it, may or may not be useful.
Yeah.
So that is that. I'm going to drag this back across. That's a great idea for another use that you can do this. And sometimes, communicating via email, I find it hard, and it's like creating a little voice note or a visual sharing of information. It's a great way that you can do that. Now, Julie, you have asked about the transcript function. I am sure I don't know the answer to that within PowerPoint. Amy, you seem to be a bit of a user of PowerPoint. I know that PowerPoint, when you're presenting, has a function where it can come up with closed captioning. I can share with you the way that I do the transcript, Julie, which is different. So I can't actually answer the question, unfortunately.
That's okay.
I have, when I need a transcript for an assignment, does your assignment, how long is your assignment? Is it longer than 5 minutes or so?
No, I think it is about 5 minutes from memory.
About 5 minutes?
Yeah.
What I suggest for my students is I ask them to go to Otter AI. I'm going to just open it up and share it with you, and I'll pop the link in the chat. Let me just get it going on. While since I've gone there. There we go. Hold on, I'll drag it across for you. Okay, what I usually ask my students to do, and I don't know if it's what your UA or whoever it is that's asking them with the transcripts, is I log in here to Otter AI. You have to actually log in. It's free. You can pay, but don't pay. Let me just gonna continue logging in. Sorry, I'm just logging in with my login here, and you get, I've obviously done some exemplars here as well. But what you do once you're in this spot here, Julie, I'll pop the link. Actually, let me just pop the chat now. Okay, you get the option to import. So, which is that far right button, import, and then you just drag your video. Now, I'll just do it right now. I've got that trial video. It'll have pretty terrible audio because it was like me dithering around, but let me just get that file. I'm going to drag it in there, or you can click on the browse files and open it up in that other way. It's having a quick think about it. The longer the video, the longer it will think about it. Excuse me. It's nearly there. And what will pop up is the transcript that you can copy and paste and pop into your assignment. It's nearly there. Oh. It's having a little think, but you'll take longer. And this is how I normally suggest the transcripts to be done. And then once it's all processed there. You can grab it. Depending on your the requirements of your assignment, you might need to edit it a little bit for
Yeah.
ums and ahs and whatnot. I never care very much for my students. I'm like, just copy and paste it in. The other way that you can access a transcript, I think, is through YouTube as well. And often we do need, we create a video for an assignment, but you don't necessarily want to share an MP4 file. It's difficult to share. It's large. One of the ways we do that is by uploading our videos to YouTube. And now in a couple of weeks' time, we've got a training session that is all about uploading and the different ways in which we can share our videos. So that will be explained at that workshop. Oh, okay. It's taking way longer to think. Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
It was a pretty short video. That's it.
Right.
But
awesome.
I find that I just grab that and it will cut it up a little bit because I'm taking a breath and it might be thinking it's a different person.
Okay.
But all the information's there and you can just grab it that way. I find that
Perfect.
I bet there's an easier way to do it. But that's
well,
the
it
way
looks pretty easy to me. That looks pretty easy to me because I was thinking I was going to have to use Zoom because if Zoom has a transcripting function.
It certainly does.
Yeah. But oh no, that's awesome. I'm all about the AI. I just love ChatGPT, just quietly. So this will be a new toy. Thank you.
Definitely. Be careful with the ChatGPT and your assignments, but certainly very useful tool.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that. Thank you.
No problem. Oh gosh, I spent yesterday with it wasn't ChatGPT, but the Bing AI image generator, and I spent the day trying to figure out how I was going to work with AI, create images for my art classes, and it was a bit of fun. So
oh man, I'll have to do that one too because I do a lot of graphic design for my business. So
yeah, well, the AI, it's really coming for us, and let's embrace it in an ethical way.
Exactly,
is our plan.
Thank you so much.
That's no problem at all. We've still got 15 good minutes left. I'm really happy to take any questions at all. If you've got anything that something wasn't explained clearly enough, I'm happy to demonstrate again if need be.
That's awesome. Yeah, awesome. I found all my files, so it's all good. I found where they all went. So
good.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much.
No problem, Julie. Zoe's all good in the chat. That's excellent. Sometimes it just takes a bit of time and you've got to enact it to try and maybe jump off and have a little play, but it is quite easy. It's quite intuitive, but it just takes us getting out of our comfort zone to have a go. Carla's all good.
Right.
Does anyone have any burning questions? Alison, do you have a burning question?
I was just going to mention your upcoming workshops over the next month that would probably interest the same group. So next Thursday is using Canva to create posters and infographics with Katie Hotko again. So keep an eye on your student emails. I've promoted that. So I would love to see you all there again. And there's 2 more coming that I just don't have at my fingertips right now.
No, that's all right. The third one is about using the morph tool in PowerPoint.
That's right.
And that's where we get some really fun kind of movement in our presentations to help bring focus. It's a lot of fun. So, and then the final one's all about uploading and to YouTube and sharing and all those different things that we can do with our videos that hopefully by then you've got your presentations all done and you'll be ready to share them with the world or with your unit assessors. Keep them nice and private.
Yeah. Good.
So thanks so much to everyone. I'm getting the feeling that perhaps everyone's done enough.
Yeah,
yeah, it seems that way. Maybe we'll pop the recording off and take any questions.
Okay, thank you everyone for your attendance.